This is Jonathan Aguilar here for Pro Boxing Fans. Delighted to be joined by Tim Moten over Zoom. Unbeaten heavyweight, 5-0, 2 KOs, Mayhem, as he's known. Tim, how's it going?
It's going well, brother. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Here in London, you're in Kentucky.
Yes,
As
sir.
established.
Louisville.
That's it. Yeah, for those that don't know, unbeaten heavyweight, 5-0, 2 KOs. But talk to me a bit about how you got into boxing in general, because I know you had a very long amateur career. But yeah,
Yeah.
where did it all start for Mayhem?
So I used to play American football. I used to play they call it Pop Warner, Peanut. But at a young age, I was hefty. I was a thick kid, and I knew that I could do better if I could just run the ball. It's every lineman's dream to run the ball. So spoke to my dad. My dad used to box. Um, he actually was sparring partners with my coach. Him and my coach were sparring partners. And back when I was younger, maybe around 10 or 11, just to shed a few pounds the healthy way, my dad told me that we can go to the boxing gym. So the season had just ended when I was around 10, and I went to the boxing gym for a few months, left. I played football again, but I still wasn't light enough to run the ball. So when I was 11, the summer of when I was 11, he took me back to the gym, the boxing gym, and it just so happened that there was a fight that was going to be put on that summer at the gym, the local gym. They call them smokers or local shows. And I said, okay, I'll fight in it. I trained for a few months last year. I trained, consistently for 3 months this year. I've lost a few pounds. Why not? I'm not playing football. Why not? So I fought and I lost my first amateur fight. And I did not like the feeling of losing. I didn't like it at all. So football season was coming up. I had signed up, but I told my dad, I said, the next show I want to fight because I can't go out on a loss like that. So I fought again, and I beat the kid that beat me at first. But it was for like a local tournament belt. And when I got that belt, it just felt completely different than winning a football trophy with the team. Like, that was me. So, like, I came home, my family had a barbecue for me, and it was all about me. I had finally did something myself. I felt achievement through myself versus just being a part of a whole football team on the field that gets a trophy. So I liked that feeling. I decided to skip out on that football season, and I fought literally like twice every month that year, and I just never looked back. I just kept going. I never went back to football, and I just continued to go and grow with the sport as long as I did it. It was a beautiful thing. I'm glad that my dad took me, and I'm glad that I decided to keep embarking on this journey.
Before we carry on, do you mind, does the camera go up a bit so we can see? Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that's quite incredible. I mean, how does the training side of it differ between your football career now in boxing?
Well, with football, it was more of a like I said again, a team thing. So we all ran sprints. If there's 4 or 5 guys that are tired, everybody takes a break. So those 4 or 5 guys may be tired, but I'm not tired yet. So I wasn't getting the full effect of a workout. With boxing, my coach and my father are watching me. I go till I'm tired. They're working on individual things with me that I need to work on. Instead of, the football team, if we're weak at the receiver spot, the guys who, catch the ball, the receivers, then all day the head coach would be over there working with the receivers while we're just going through our drills with our position coach. But with boxing, it's if I'm bad at a jab, they focus on my jab. If I'm bad at a right hand, it's focused on me. So all the attention is on me to make me a better athlete and me a better fighter versus a football team that has to have 5 or 6 coaches that, you know what I mean? It's split up. It's not, it's a lot, but I love the sport of football. Not taking nothing away from it, but with boxing, it's just one-on-one. It is definitely the loneliest sport in the world.
You had quite a long amateur career. Just talk me through that and maybe some of the guys you fought.
Okay, so I won as a I guess you would call it a peewee or a younger kid. I won the state and region silver gloves tournaments. Then I fought in the as a junior. I won the state and regional junior Olympic championships. Didn't make it to nationals because each time that I won the regionals, there was something happen, whether it be a death in the family or it would be one reason I didn't go to junior Olympic nationals was because I had finals and testing for school. So I wasn't unfortunately able to make it to those national tournaments at a young age. And then I won the Golden Gloves tournament, the regional and state regional Golden Gloves tournament at a young age 3 times. And then I won the men's division Golden Gloves tournament to go to nationals. I did that once, and I fought in 2010 or 11. I can't remember exactly. I fought in the under 19 USA national tournament, and I fought in the finals, and I fought Joshua Temple, and great amateur, great guy, great fighter. Lost to him in the finals. So in 2010 in the under 19 division, I was ranked number 2 in the nation. That's pretty much and then a lot of fight shows, a lot of amateur shows. We used to travel and go to the surrounding states, and then some of the bigger states when they would have local tournaments like the Sugar Burt tournament, Platinum Gloves, the smaller scale tournaments, not so much as the USA Nationals or the National Golden Gloves, but I fought in a lot of smaller scale tournaments and a lot of sparring time, just putting in a lot of work. Consistently from 12 years old till now, I've been boxing.
Who did you used to watch in terms of boxing, in terms of fighters? Did you have anyone that stood out to you?
Yeah. So the guys that I study I'm a shorter heavyweight, so I'm fighting giants.
How tall are you, by the way?
I'm about 5'11", 5'11
Okay.
and a half, 6 foot range, 6 foot on a good day. So I'm about 5'11", 5'11 and a half. And the guys that I looked up to, that I watched, were guys that not a lot of people really watch, except for the few stars. So David Tua, watch a lot of David Tua. I watch a lot of Joe Frazier. I watch a lot of there's a guy who you may be familiar with him, Orland Norris.
Yep.
I watch a lot of Orland Norris. James Toney. I watch James Toney faithfully. And Evander Holyfield, when Evander Holyfield fought some of the giants. So those are my main 5 that I stay around. When I see an opponent that I'm fighting, I kind of relate their style to – I have like a dictionary up here when it comes to boxing. So I can look at somebody's style and see who it's similar to, and then I can go back and think of one of those 5 guys that have fought somebody similar, and I'll see how they fought them, study that. I'll study the guy that I fought, and then I'll make adjustments in camp to what fits me. And so basically those are the 5 guys that I study. But everybody, not only do I study the heavyweights, but I watch some of the super middle, the welterweights. I watch some of those guys. I like watching the Charlo brothers. I like watching the way that they fight. I like watching, of course, Anthony Joshua. I just got turned on when I went to camp with Joshua Buatsi.
Yeah.
I didn't know about him when I first went to camp, but when I got to camp, I seen him train. I seen him spar. I've been watching a lot of Buatsi film. I didn't know a lot about Lawrence Okoli. These guys really have their style is different, and they really do different things. I actually sparred a few rounds with Okoli, and that was really interesting. I learned a lot just from the few rounds that we sparred. But
how did you find that? He's quite rangy, awkward style.
Rangy and awkward and strong. Rangy, awkward, and strong, man. I mean, but I'm strong too. He told me that I was strong as a bull, and I'm like, man, you as strong as a bull. We're both strong, but it was a great time. I loved it. I sparred him. I think we did about 4 to 6 rounds we sparred, but it was great. I loved every minute of it. Just learned a lot while I was in camp.
Yeah, we'll get on to all that sparring you did with Joshua and Okoli, etc. But you've got a fight coming up.
Yes.
6th fight, October 31st. Talk me through who you're fighting, where it's going to be, and how preparation's been going.
So I recently signed with I signed a manager. His name is Jason Scalzo, And Jason has been great so far. We got big plans, and we're affiliated and going to be fighting on James Toney Promotions card, which is crazy because he's one of the guys that I studied.
Yeah.
So to be able to fight on his card and possibly maybe even sign to a promotion, if everything's right in the future, is also crazy for me. But we fight on October 31st. My opponent I can't remember who exactly my opponent is, but Jason will definitely be telling me soon who it is. But we do have an opponent. Um, it's in South Carolina, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be my last, I think it's going to be a 4-rounder. So it's my last 4-rounder, and then I'll be moving to 6, and then 8, and then so on and so forth. But yeah, so right now we're scheduled for a 4-rounder October 31st on Halloween. So it's going to be mayhem on Halloween.
Yeah.
And we're going to get this guy and handle business.
For those that haven't seen your style, you've mentioned the likes of James Toney, Holyfield, etc. Who would you sort of compare your style to? How do you fight?
It's so obviously being a shorter heavyweight, I have to have pressure.
Mm.
And with pressure, there's different styles of pressure fighters. So you have guys that come forward and still can outbox you. You have guys that can just mash you out completely, just kind of like put a blanket over any fire that you try to start. I'm a mixture of everything because I'm such a student of the game. So I have things that I do that you would see a pressure fighter like Tua do. I have things that I do to where if the pressure is not working, I can outslick you and outbox you, pick you apart. And this has all come from my amateur pedigree, the gym time, the sparring. So if I had to compare it, I would compare it to another guy that I watched that I didn't give credit to at first is Andy Ruiz, because Andy Ruiz is a pressure boxer, and I do a lot of pressure boxing. And so between Ruiz, Tua, Toney, all of them guys, I'm the mayhem style. That's why I came up with the name Mayhem, because it's just mayhem. Whatever you come at me, I'll find a way to figure it out and come at you completely different. I can fight this guy one way, and then if I have to, I can change it around and fight this guy another way.
Mm.
So that's why I think that I'm a fan-friendly and exciting fight, because you know there's going to be action when I fight, because I can't stand back and Klitschko you. I can't stand back and do that with these guys. I'd love to be able to, but I can't. So I'm action-packed. I like to come in and get the job done.
I mean, all the attributes that you've just mentioned, there's no surprise that you were brought into Anthony Joshua's camp for the Andy Ruiz rematch in December.
Yeah.
Just talk me through how that came about, first of all.
Well, at first, I was on a stint of studying Ruiz. He was a guy that, like I said, I study him in different times. I had just had my 5th pro fight, and I was taking some things that Ruiz did, and I was a big fan of Joshua before the Ruiz fight. So when Ruiz, the guy that I studied current, because if you look at everybody Ruiz has fought and the height difference versus the height difference of when Tua was fighting, it's a lot more vast with Ruiz. So I was always watching how Ruiz handled these guys at 6'5", 6'4", where Tua fought the guys that were 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". He never reached that 6'6" pinnacle until he fought like a Lennox Lewis, and he didn't do too well against Lewis. But when I seen how Ruiz handled Joseph Parker, and then he fought another really big guy that was around 6'5", 6'6", it was just interesting to me. So I had studied Ruiz style. So for the past year, before the first Ruiz-Joshua fight, I was studying Ruiz, prior to that fight. So when I had seen that Joshua was fighting Ruiz, I thought it was far-fetched for me to even request to go to camp, because at this time I'm thinking these guys are only taking world-class fighters into camp. What would they look at a guy 5-0 from Louisville, Kentucky to come to camp with? But something told me to just reach out and try. So there's another short heavyweight named Joey DeVaco, and he actually got into camp with Joshua for his Miami trip. When he was in Miami in camp, Joey DeVaco got in camp with Joshua. And from the amateurs, I kind of had a not a strong relationship with him, but enough for me to reach out to him and he would reach back. So I reached out to Joey. I said, hey, man, if there's any way you can get me down in camp, I'd love to come down, get the experience, and try to help Joshua hold on to these titles. So he reached out. He told me that, it's only 2 more weeks left to camp. Sparring's already pretty much done. Maybe next time, kind of.
Mm.
So I said, okay. So then Joshua fought, and unfortunately, he lost his title, but fortunate he did because it gave me an opportunity to try again. So this time I had everybody I knew just spam Eddie Hearn and AJ's page with, hey, get Mayhem in camp, get Mayhem Moten in camp, get Tim in camp, he'll be able to help you. He'll be a good attribute. And Joshua already has millions of comments and followers and likes. So does Eddie Hearn. So I knew that wasn't going to work. So what I did was I Googled a picture of his team, and I found who he was closest to and consoling in his victory over Klitschko. And I seen who now is a really, really good friend of mine, a brother, David Ganza, next to Anthony Joshua. Reached out to David, and which is KD is his nickname, King David. So reached out to KD, and KD was like, he looked at my stuff, looked at my message, and looked at my page. Him and Eddie Hearn spoke, and then I got a message from Eddie Hearn saying, we like what we see, we'll be in touch. And I thought it was a joke. Honestly, I did. I thought it was a joke at first. Turned out to be real. Next thing I know, he asked me to get a passport. My fiance, who's been the rock, she has been behind me this whole time, man. Wouldn't be where I am today in this far in my career if it wasn't for her helping and supporting me fully. We got together, got on a plane, got my passport. I told KD the next day, which is crazy because, it takes 2 weeks to get a passport if you're just waiting on it to come in the mail. When I told him I had my passport the next day, he said, oh, man, you're serious. Can you get on a plane next week? And I'm like, heck yeah, that's why I went and got it. Got on a plane, went to London, and the rest has just been history, man. It was an awesome camp. I was able to actually, solidify that, and give myself the verification that I have world-class talent. I have world-class sauce. The juice is what we call it, and to be able to help him and see how he changed his style, just, it just solidified everything for me. And I know that I can take this all the way to the top.
That's quite interesting because I think what you're alluding to in the first Ruiz fight, I mean, most people overlooked Andy Ruiz and said,
they did.
This is a walkover, late replacement for Jarrell Miller.
They did.
Yeah.
And you got to think too.
Yeah.
He just fought Alexander Dimitrenko.
Mm.
He's 6'6", 6'6.5", So that was another fight that I had studied and watched. I watched that fight at least 50 times, just studying it, seeing how he moved, how he shoots his jabs to the body, how he dips, everything. So I knew when he had announced that he had that Joshua fight, and I knew I was a big fan of Joshua, that I said I hadn't tried to get into any camp before. And I was like, if I don't take that step forward and try to get my name out there, then it'll never get out there. So I had took that step forward. I took a leap of faith, man, and I got into camp, and I was there from the start of camp all the way into the end of the fight, and it was amazing.
Now, how did you find the camp itself? Because as far as the outside world knew, well, we didn't know too much about sort of what was going on. Anthony Joshua was very focused on the rematch with Ruiz, hence what we saw in Saudi Arabia, dominant performance. But yeah, I mean, like, what can you tell us of what the camp was like and what AJ's mindset was like throughout the whole period?
It was focused, boxing, serious. I literally had if I didn't have my phone in my hand, writing down notes of things that we were doing in camp, I was taking mental notes. Joshua had laser focus when it was time to do a drill, or it was time to spar, or it was time to hit the bag or anything. It was laser focus. I mean, like he was on the hunt for prey, and not just so much in him, but in KD and doing his job, and Banga, his cousin, doing his job, and Coach Rob, it wasn't a awkward feeling when you came in the gym. It was just when you came in the gym, you knew it was time to handle business. It was business. It was professionally ran. You can't get any higher than the unified heavyweight champion of the world unless you're undisputed. You know what I mean? So it was ran as the outside seen it, man. I mean, it was just focused. And then as soon as the training session was over, we were all laughing, smiling, and brothers, and talking about different things that's happening in the world. It was just a brotherly love outside of training. In camp, it was nothing but work. Work, work, work. Nothing but work.
And to come back the way he did to beat Andy Ruiz convincingly in the rematch, how confident were you that result would happen, number one? And secondly, what was AJ's sort of mindset going in? Did he seem nervous, confident, focused on the job? How did it seem to you?
I think that with heavyweight boxing, you always know it's one punch away. Case in point, Dillian Whyte-Povetkin. Whyte was up every round and just took one punch. So I think that it was razor sharp focus. Take the focusness that he had in camp and times it times 30 or million. You know what I mean? Like, he was just focused the whole time. Right before weigh-ins, when we walked down to weigh-ins, it's focus. The media workout, focused. Everything he knew that whole week he had to be on to beat Ruiz, because it is difficult to fight a short heavyweight that is explosive, fast, and has power. And I think that we knew that if Ruiz came in the best possible shape that he could and ready to fight, that it was going to be a fight, because Ruiz is a former unified heavyweight champ of the world, and he is a 5-star fighter no matter which way you look at it. And the way that Joshua changed his game and his style to win that fight just attests to how great that he is in the sport. And I knew that he was going to do it because of how the work that I was giving him, the work that the other sparring partners were giving him, and there was no lax day, like, I knew that I was the perfect sparring partner for him in this fight. You couldn't get no better or closer to Ruiz than Ruiz in that fight. You got Ruiz, and then sometimes he would get mayhem in there. You know what I mean? So, and not saying that I have leaps and bounds to go before I'm at that level, but I ain't no slouch. So I'm definitely bringing heat, and I'm definitely bringing spark in there to the ring. So I knew he was ready. I knew he was ready going to take care of business. But you still, again, we were all on the edge of our seats, and actually we was all standing up the whole fight. So we was all standing up, and we knew that it only took one punch, but if he kept composed and did what we did in camp, he would be fine. So that it was on edge. He was focused, we was focused, and when the victory came, it was just like our shoulders went from here to just relaxed, So great experience.
I mean, I think it's great that, you're an unbeaten heavyweight prospect, yet you've had this experience so early on in your career of training in a training camp for such a massive fight.
Yeah.
And this is all because of yourself. It's not that you had a promoter that said, we want you in the Anthony Joshua camp. You've done it through your own, to your own credit, through yourself. You asked to do it. And that's, I guess, a good message for other prospects out there. If they want to do these camps, go for it.
You can't wait. When I got in the camp and I seen how these other guys got in there, Tabiti signed with the Mayweather team. So when KD or whoever did the research to find Joshua sparring partners, they reached out to managers. They reached out to promoters. Elvis Garcia signed to Lou DiBella, and Lou DiBella is friends with Eddie Hearn. So he got Elvis in that way. I was the guy. These guys had top managers, promoters, connections. Me, I'm the guy at the bottom of the hill screaming, "Let me in." And as soon as I get in, I had to prove to them that I was worthy to be there, And it was, like I said, it was all this time that I've put in this sport, all the time that I've put in developing my craft, this was the time for me to let myself know if I had it. And me being there for as long as I had, me sparring with elite guys, it was just a testament to my skill. And it was the biggest confidence booster I could have.
Mm.
I could have went on I could go on a 5-fight knockout streak and never have went to that camp and still not have as much confidence and much grit and readiness in myself as I do now.
Mm. Few predictions from you, Tim. Heavyweight fights coming up.
Yeah.
Whyte-Povetkin too. How do you see this rematch going?
I told everyone when they would ask me this, I said, Dillian Whyte is a great example of somebody who has determination and works hard to develop the craft as fast as possible. The man didn't have an amateur background that is vast. Like, he didn't even have as many amateur fights as I had. But for him to develop himself that fast, it was phenomenal. But what you cannot take away is Povetkin wasn't he a gold medalist?
Yeah, Olympic gold medalist.
An Olympic gold medalist with all of this amateur pedigree, not to mention his professional fights fighting at the world-class Klitschko, fighting all of these guys. He's already been there, so it's hard to beat. That is really hard to beat. And they all said, he fought Michael Hunter to a draw. Well, I'm from the U.S., and I'm from a time – I'm younger than Michael Hunter, but Michael Hunter was maybe a few years older than me, so he was in the elite division when I was in the junior division. Michael Hunter had been killing the USA national amateur game for almost 8 years. He was the guy that was on the Olympic team for the super heavyweights, wiping everybody clean. I knew that Michael Hunter had that type of skill, that pedigree. So I knew when he fought Povetkin that it was, it wasn't going to be as a wash like everybody thought Povetkin was going to do. Like, Michael Hunter has pedigree. So with that being said, I don't know how this fight's going to go. I don't know, because Whyte, he killed Povetkin twice. He knocked him down 2 or 3 times. In the 5th round, he just got caught. I think that he settled too much. He tried to sit back and settle, thinking that he's got this 12 rounds to go, and it was in the 5th round. Like, you can't get relaxed with somebody like Povetkin, because he's trying to figure out and calculate how he can get you. So I say this, if Whyte stays, which I think he is, if Whyte stays on edge, razor sharp mind, and he gets in there even sharper, not body, but mentally. If he gets in there mentally sharper than he was the last fight, I give Whyte in a unanimous decision, possibly even a knockout. But if he slacks, or he gets relaxed, or he gets settled, and Povetkin has the opportunity to catch him again, and I think it goes Povetkin's way. So it all depends on the fighters. But if I had to put my money on something, I would say Whyte in a unanimous decision.
And same question for Derek Chisora and Alexander Usyk coming up.
Chisora's a dog. He's a dog. And what he did to David Price, I was at that fight.
Oh, yeah?
And, yeah, what he did to David Price was an Olympic, silver medalist, bronze medalist?
Bronze, yeah.
Bronze medalist. And he just dogged him out. So I'll take the risk on this one. I'm gonna say Whyte. I'm gonna say Chisora. And I think Chisora may stop Usyk within 8 rounds.
Wow.
Within 8.
Brilliant.
No, I'm not gonna say 8. I'm gonna say within 4 to 6, because it has to be early. Because if he slows down and lets Usyk box, Usyk will take him apart. But Chisora has to put the pedal to the metal the whole first part of the fight, and I think that's what he knows.
And I'm gonna have to put you on the spot for this one. The big fight that everyone wants to see next year: Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. Who wins that fight and why?
Listen, I argue with everybody here. They like, we know your team, Joshua. We know your team, Joshua. We know what you're gonna say, but you gotta say Tyson Fury's there. Everybody thinks Tyson's gonna take him apart. What they don't realize is that I've seen Joshua's camp. So I've seen the minds that he has in his camp. Joby Clayton, great mind. Angel Fernandez, great mind. Rob McCracken, another one. So you got these three great minds. You think they haven't been watching Tyson Fury and got him figured out some type of way? Then on top of that, you have Joshua, who has cannons in both hands and he's fast. I don't see Tyson doing it. I think that he knows he has to come forward. If Joshua comes forward and he puts the pedal to the metal on Fury, then I'm gonna go with Joshua by knockout, because Wilder doesn't have the boxing ability that AJ has, but he has the punch. So I think him and Joshua punch crazy, right? So if Wilder connected the first fight and dropped Fury, then just imagine that ability to drop Fury like that with the finishing ability, because Joshua's a finisher. He can finish you. With the finishing ability of Joshua, you can't go wrong. I'm going to have to say Joshua. I don't know how. I don't know if he'll beat up Fury all night. I don't know if he'll stop Fury, but he's going to get the victory. Definitely going with Fury. I like Fury's personality. I like talking to him. If we talked, I would like talking to him. But I'm going with Joshua on this one.
Just hope he doesn't watch this interview back. And finally, are there any heavyweights currently that you've got your eye on? There's a load of heavyweights in the UK that are coming through. There's a load of heavyweights in the US that I can think of. Your likes of your Jared Andersons, Sonny Contos, etc.
Yeah.
Who do you have your eye on, UK, US?
Listen, when it comes to these guys, I always look at it like, with the Jared Anderson and the Sonny Conto, we all are on our own paths, right? I'm the type of guy that I don't care who you are. I've been doing this long enough to where if it's an opportunity to come forward, I'm taking it. If it's right. I don't see them guys beating me because they haven't fought anyone like me. And I think that's what's gonna be amazing to people, is that how's this guy beating, these giants, and it's just systematically breaking them down. I don't see none of these big guys beating me, from the Jared Andersons to the Sonny Contos to the Dave Allen to the what's the guy that trains with Dave Allen with all the tattoos, the big guy, McFarlane or whatever his name is. Yeah. Him, I don't see none of these guys beating me. I don't. And I'm really a modest and I'm a humble guy. But when it comes to this sport and it comes to what I'm doing, I know how to hone my craft. I know how to plan. I know how to strategize, and I know what people have trouble with doing. And I just don't think that these guys have the ability to deal with me.
I'll put a name to you. How about Alen Babic? Have you seen much of him?
Alen the Savage Babic?
Yeah, have you seen much of him?
Yeah, I've seen Alen Babic. Listen, I like what Dillian Whyte says. I think he got it from my man Adrian Broner, right? And I think Broner got it from a fighter in the past. So it's just being passed down to generations, okay? So you got the Broner season, you got the Dillian Whyte season, and now I'm coming behind Dillian Whyte in the heavyweight ranks. Any man can get it. No matter what. Listen, Babic has been doing this for a while. I've been doing this for a while. Any of these guys can get it. When I'm in top shape and I'm in top fit, I'm a thinker and I'm a fighter. How do you beat a fighter? You go beat his tail until he don't want to fight no more. Make him box. And he's actually fighting I would say me and him are we talk often on Instagram, and we talk often on through the media, social media. And he's fighting Niall Kennedy.
Yep.
Yeah. So me and him are really good friends, and I offered my services to him in the fight. I'll come to camp for you to help you get ready for Babic, because again, I've studied Babic, all of his fights and the fights when he was an amateur. I have a way of tracking down films and footage. It's crazy. And I'm a study. This is what I do. Like, people go to college for journalism. People go to college to be a doctor. People go to graduate school to be, physicists and everything. My college was boxing.
Boxing, yeah.
When I graduated high school, I was still boxing in the gym every day, watching footage. When I get home, my fiance is so sick of my YouTube history on my TV. It's ridiculous. And not only that, but I implement the old school ways. These guys, a lot of these guys implement the new style. They want new shiny things. They want to have the what do you call it? Like different workout gear. I still go. Sometimes I go run. My boots are in my closet. Sometimes I go running in some combat boots. You can't get away from what worked in the past. And that mentality that Ali has, it's lineage. It's a legacy here in Louisville, and it settles with anybody who decides to strap on or tie up the gloves. And that's in me. That's in me wholeheartedly. I don't see anybody messing with me when I'm focused and I'm on and I'm in shape and I'm ready. And I'll be at every fight.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Before we close up, just tell everyone how to follow you on all your social media platforms.
You can follow me on Instagram at mayhem_Moten. That's mayhem_MOTEN. And you can follow me on Facebook at Timothy Moten. And Twitter is mayhem_Moten92, I believe. But it's all on my Instagram. If you follow me on IG, I have them on my highlight things. You can see everywhere to follow me on my YouTube, my Twitter, everything.
Brilliant stuff. Mayhem, Tim Moten, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure getting to know you and your story. And looking forward to seeing if you're back in the UK anytime soon.
Yes, sir. Pay attention, because I'll have on my story and my feed, my next fight, it will be streamed on some type of app or pay-per-view thing. And I'll post about that and let everybody know that they can get it there so you can see it then.
Perfect. Best of luck for the last few weeks of camp, and then I'm sure we'll catch up again.
Yes, sir.